My name is Angela. I am from New York City, and I am a singer, songwriter, creative theater maker. And I am collaborating with Macy, Macy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Macy. I'm also New York City based music director and orchestrator and copyist. I mostly have worked in the theater industry up to this point, but my collaborations with Angela have kind of been taking me into a pop world.
And together we're working on a song cycle called Passion Project, Love Songs from Women to Their Work. And I just saw a big wide open space for work that could be sung by women, about women, that was not a love song to a romantic partner, because I also am an actor, and I found that I was just getting really sick of singing that type of song, and I wanted to offer something new. And I also, love women that are passionate about their
That was beautiful.
So sorry.
That's okay.
So I wanted to talk about the working woman, the woman who, could be in love with her own creativity, and to have that be something that excites and motivates her. And so I actually was abroad in Europe writing the second collection of these songs. We had the first collection, we had a concert in September. So I was in France writing the second half just this March, and I actually had to come back to New York, and halfway through, luckily I got to write a few more songs, but sort of was feeling the chaos of the moment. And when I got back, Macy and I were wanting to collaborate on something that felt of the moment and, about women by women. And we decided to look into people who had participated on the front lines of the pandemic in 1918. And we found this amazing woman, Catherine Hannon. And from there, I just sort of took my passion project formula and decided to write a love song from this nurse to her nurses, to all nurses. And it was really a wonderful experience to be able to do that.
You're a friend, but you could have fooled me, 'cause you keep running into the storm when everyone's playing low.
So the collection of songs that were performed last September, you wrote all the songs?
Yes, so there's 12 songs from women to their work, and then there's one theme song to wrap it up, but I wrote all of them, and Macy orchestrated and arranged all of them.
That's wonderful. I viewed the videos that are on the website yesterday, and was really struck how each performer really made it their own. Because I thought for a minute that maybe they were giving, I didn't know if you had a process where, okay, these are the women, do a little research, or here's the research, what are you going to come up with? So it's interesting that they took this and really made it their own, because I really felt like they had a strong connection to or about the women they were singing about, which was amazing. When this whole situation is over, is it a possibility of having another performance of this work?
Definitely. We have a lot of plans that we want to do with this work. We're so connected to it. We want to do these songs again, and maybe even with different performers, because we really want to create sort of like a passion project family of people that can inhabit these women and sing about their lives and their work. And we're also hoping to record an album as well.
Right.
And we're going to be delayed a little bit, but I think this new song that we worked on together is our way of thinking about how we can still work on this project during this time, and make it, knowing that it's going to always be in context no matter what you put out there right now, and sort of leaning into that in a way that feels authentic and genuine, and really, wanting to tell the story, from our hearts, because it is so emotional right now. So
Right. In your songwriting process, does it take a long time to bring a song together? Every artist has a different way of creating.
yeah, and I love actually hearing about everyone's different process, because it's so interesting. And I think that, I don't know, I definitely have an internal anxiety of like, am I not doing it right? But it seems like it is. Sorry, my cats are being very mischievous. Okay. For me, my lyric and my melody come out together pretty quickly. I love rhythm, and I love rhythm with words. And I vocalize, because I'm a singer first, so I'll just start singing something and improvising.
Mm.
But what's really fun is bringing that to an orchestrator. And so Macy can probably talk a little bit about what we did, actually, like probably in that very room, bringing some of the songs to life in that way.
Yeah. Well, as far as the songwriting process thing, I mean, this is one of the things about Angela that I'm actually most captivated by as a non-writer, is like, I think one night we got on the phone and we started talking about, ways to kind of bring Passion Project into the times and what kind of ideas and women we could look at. And at like 4 a.m. that same like evening, I had an email from Angela with the subject line, like, here it is. I find myself very intimidated by like blank page, and I'm not myself a writer or composer. And I just am so fascinated and enthralled by the way she's able to do that. But yeah, this is, my little workspace. I have here my piano and set up with a laptops and such. And when we were working on the first volume of Passion Project, Angela had demos, some of which were her playing piano and singing, her playing guitar and singing, but were kind of just recorded as audio demos. And the orchestration of them came we got in a room together, and she usually retracked the vocal to a click of like whatever tempo we were going to use. And we just kind of went element by element together, building up like, okay, well, what is the feeling of this? Like, what do we want the rhythm of this to sound like? When this is performed live, what sorts of instruments will we want to reflect this song? And we'd get into a Logic session and kind of build together a sketch demo of kind of like our, with the tools that we have between us, like the kind of idea of what we wanted it to feel like. Mm-hmm. And then for live performance, I would translate that, which it ended up coming out a little bit differently for live performance, but I would translate that into orchestrated charts and sheet music for each musician of kind of how to replicate the vision from that sketch demo, but in a way that is more crafted to what live musicians would play than what a computer can do on its own.
Right. And did you have musicians in mind for this, or did you have to audition? What is your process?
Well, we knew from the start we wanted to have an all-female band orchestra situation. Mm-hmm. So that was or all-female identifying, and that was definitely a vision from the beginning. As far as specific musicians, I work as a musician in the theater community, and it's not all of that big of a community. Also through a wonderful organization called Maestra, which raises visibility for female musicians in the theater industry. A lot of women musicians have been becoming a lot more visible in the past year or so, and I've been kind of keeping tabs on who all of them are. So I wouldn't say it was like, as we put the songs together, there were specific names in mind, but definitely keeping all female identifying. And we were able to have a 50% woman of color band as well. So just kind of diversity and showing that on stage was really important.
And how long did you rehearse before the actual performance? As a group?
Band,
yeah.
Well, the group never rehearsed together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is a typical sort of like cabaret rehearsal timeline, I would say, in the theater scene, like a concert setting is some of we gave the singers the option, like, if you want to meet and go through the song together, we're happy to, but also, this was a labor of love collaboration between the singers and Angela's songs, and many of the singers didn't rehearse in advance, and they're just total pros. We sent them demos and sheet music, and they showed up and did a sound check and knocked it out of the park. As far as the band, we had one kind of 3-hour band rehearsal. We played through everything, and Angela sang with everything, and it comes together.
That marathon, I feel like whenever I'm rehearsing for something that's my work, whether I'm going to be performing or not, I end up doing like a day where I'm just singing everything through, which actually is really helpful if you have so many different conflicts. And, you know, for me to be there and know the song so well and be able to work through it, it helps, you know, with our budget financially. You know, we don't want to keep people there and not pay them. So it's definitely been a plus that I can sing through all of that. So.
Well, I think that even theater lovers may not know the whole creative process behind that. And so that's why I was asking. And it's very different than musicians that might be in a pop band or somebody who just does it part-time, you know, just because they want to do it. So the process is always interesting. And the theater and Broadway it's a whole different way of, it's not just a whole different life. It's just it's very tailored. It's very different world than a lot of other creative processes. And especially if you have so many other people that you do need to come on board to make your project flower out. One of the questions I was thinking about was the audience response. Did you feel like they wanted more? Did you feel like that this was such a new experience for them? I'm really excited to see more of this type of work really blossom for female creatives. And I think that's really needed across the board, no matter what. Especially in music and especially on Broadway, where we are not as represented as we should be. But that's just my point of view. But so how much do you rehearse on a normal day, Angela?
It depends. Sometimes I don't rehearse at all.
Okay.
But I'll just be singing in my house. I try to sing as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I think that right now, especially, there's I've heard people talking about productivity and creativity during this time, especially. And this is actually something that I, and probably many people, go through on a daily basis. So when faced with this question during the pandemic, I felt that I was already prepared to be kind to myself about it, because I think that there's a different way of perfecting or honing your craft for everyone. And so for me, it's about singing as much as I can. I love when I have something to write that is a task that's not for me, because it really helps me to just dive into it and not think about, is this my sound and is this what I want to create, and like, is this cool enough? And I'm able to really practice just like the given task. So right now it depends. Some days, like, I will be up until 4 a.m. writing one thing and wild. And other days, all I want to do is like listen to the Fiona Apple album on repeat. And that's like my master class for the day.
And Macy, are you writing music on the side for yourself? Are you working on anything?
No, I don't. I've never really, not only have I never written my own music, when I have tried, it has not been a thing, not even necessarily, it hasn't been a thing that comes naturally to me, but it has not been the thing that like sparks joy in me.
Yeah.
I love working with writers. Working with writers is my favorite thing in the entire world. I love when a writer brings a song in a demo and it's like, okay, well, how do these chords feel? Like thinking about what the melody's saying, like what would make this section stronger if it's just like repeated on a loop? And like, I love that kind of collaboration and manipulation of, how a song is built. But I'm not a words person at all. I'm not a lyrics person. But yeah, I definitely do a lot of like arranging or orchestration projects on the side, and I love that collaboration, but I don't write for myself, and I'm very happy with that.
And how did you two meet?
We met through another collaborator of ours, a mutual collaborator and friend named Hunter Bird, and he's a wonderful theatrical director. And it was just the right time. I said, I was like, I'm looking for a female orchestrator, because I also wanted to be working with women on this project, of course. And he was working on another project with Macy at that time, and he introduced us, and we went out to coffee, and immediately it was really clear that we had a lot of the same the same motivations and the same ideas. Actually, through our conversation that day, she was talking about wanting a song that was, about women like finally taking a step forward, and that, we're tired of like not telling people how good we are and how we know that we can really change the world. And that is how I went home, and I went to nanny and babysit, and I was like doing the dishes and coming up with the melody, and I sent it to her, and that became the anthem for Passion Project. It's called Best Kept Secret. And the idea is like, I don't want to keep this secret anymore. This patriarchal world would love it if like women just kept the secret that we're actually really capable. So that became sort of the anthem, which was really, just from the one conversation, a lot of inspiration sparked.
And I'm pretty sure she sent me that voice memo like the same day, like later the same day.
So would you expand on this like a part 2? I'm sure there's so many other women to sing about. Have you thought about expanding this like 2 or 3-fold?
I think that it could potentially go on forever, honestly. There's so many women that like are amazing, and we've never heard about them.
Right.
I actually started writing volume 2, which has been really exciting, because now I have had people like whisper women in my ear that they're like, you have to check this person out. And I have thought about what professions would it be really cool to write about. There is an astronaut that I started writing about, because I love space and I love all of that. So we've even talked about versions that are maybe just like scientists, or just women from a certain, time period or a certain area. Right now I wanted to make it like as diverse as possible in terms of like geographic location, time period, age, what their specialty is. But, we can focus in a lot of different ways. And we've already seen, because of the way the world is changing, it led us to this woman, Catherine Hannon. So I'm excited to see where it leads us next, because you never know who you'll inspire, what woman you'll inspire, to just take a chance. I think right now anyone can be a hero, honestly, and we're seeing that. Sure, of course.
And you have a new EP out yourself.
Yeah, I recorded it the month before the pandemic really hit, which was lucky to have something like that. And it's a pop, like alternative pop EP. The first single came out last Friday, so it is out. It's called Make a Monster, and I'm on Spotify and all those things. But the 4-track EP is going to come out in middle to end of May, which is really exciting. I love to release into different industries, and a lot of people, I think get bent out of shape about that. They're like, well, how do you're too theater, or you're not theater enough, or you're pop, or you're not pop enough. But I kind of love that, because I just want to develop what my sound is and prove them wrong, that you can sort of dip into each industry as you want to. And I think that if more people did that, we would have such exciting projects in every little, nook of the industry.
Yeah, I saw that on your website with the songs that you had on there, there was an evolution of where you started and the different roads you were taking. And I really got a sense that it was, these were areas that were interesting to you that you wanted to open up, but it wasn't necessarily a sales pitch. Like, I have to follow this type of genre to make somebody else happy. I have to put something out that I really feel strongly about.
Yeah, and that's so exciting to me as well, because even just in my music that I've released online, in the pop world, I was learning. You don't really. I didn't have somebody like teach me how to like be a recording artist, and I'm still navigating that road as an independent artist. But each time I did an album, I've been inspired by those artists that haven't, decided that they have to be like one specific type of genre and sound the same every time. I love the artists that dip into different styles each time. That, artists like St. Vincent, that she has a whole other look and sound palette for each album. I mean, that is so exciting to me, and I think it's really brave. Whether or not, I mean, it's interesting because I was watching Taylor Swift's documentary the other day, and she talks about how women kind of have to reinvent themselves each time, and men don't really have to, which I never thought about it that way. But I think because we're trained to do that, you get exciting new work and very vulnerable work, because you're experimenting with these sounds for the first time. And I sort of don't know what genre I am, and I don't know that I am a specific genre, and that excites me because I think I pull from a lot of different things, and that's how you create a new sound,
Right.
Early on when we first were focused on putting together the concert, I remember hearing from like a producer friend something along the lines of like, oh, well, you might have a tricky time getting a producer to latch onto this project because it's like kind of what you're saying, like not totally theater enough, but not totally pop commercial enough. And I feel like as time has gone on, that has become my favorite thing about the project, because it like for theater people, it's like something that isn't really like the traditional sound they're used to hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And for people who mainly consume like pop and commercial music, it's like the format and the process is something that like they aren't really used to in their world either. And yeah, I think that the idea of not being bound to a genre is like one of the most exciting things to me about Passion Project and Angela's work as a whole.
Yeah. So what is if things, if we're allowed to start to move forward in New York City by June, do you two have things in place? Do you have a next project? Other than the Passion Project, are you going to go right into the studio to record the Passion Project?
I mean, I'm not sure if anyone has necessarily things in place, like timeline wise, but the things we were hoping to dive into when all of this started were recording the album, and we had a couple like concert things lined up that got derailed that I would hope when the world reopens, we might find a way to reschedule those. But Angela?
Yeah, I think recording is so fun because you get to preserve those sounds in a new way. And also I think it would be really fun because Macy was saying that we orchestrated it a certain way and used certain instruments because it was live and it was presented in like a cabaret kind of style. But, if we get into a recording studio, I want to really explore what that means and what we can do there. Because I think I personally, like, I sing different when I'm in a record, it can be very, very specific, and, we can use some technology and we can dip a little bit further into the pop world, which I think is really exciting. So that definitely was one of the first things. And, I'm even starting to rethink what projects I want to focus on, because this pandemic, whether it means, whether it opens up or doesn't open up, quicker than we think. It's shifted my perspective on what I want to work on and what I want to say to the world right now. And I do think that artists like Fiona Apple and Laura Marling, who just put out records earlier than they were supposed to, it really is what I want to be as an artist. You know, they saw a need and they had an album and they gave it to the people, and the people really, really consumed it, and we're so grateful for it. And it was such a beautiful exchange. So I've been investigating what that could be for me, which is exciting that people who have those platforms are still doing that. You know, that's so exciting to me.
This would be a really amazing like docuseries.
Yeah.
You're laughing, but it would be amazing. I'm just, you know, from where it started and then eventually where it could, the possibilities where it could go. I mean, that whole creative process, that is just really fascinating. I mean, and it could influence and really show a lot of up and coming creatives and young women that there are so many other possibilities.
Right. Yeah. A lot of our industries tell us that we have to do things a certain way and look a certain way. I mean, it's because of, you know, largely to Macy's PR skills and just the way that she thinks outside the box and is so, believes in the project and will go for like the gold, like we'll go for the dream, that we were able to get some amazing Broadway singers, and that we were able to start dreaming about recording an album. And, you know, if she had just followed like, no, I just am the orchestrator, I don't think that we would have gotten to that place, because I think that it's through the creativity of this team and the passion in this team. You know, it's funny, like we're a passion project inside a passion project. Yeah. So, and we're dreaming up what it could be. And like, I'm so open to anything. Like, you know, we're like, maybe we can make a music video. I'm like, yeah, we should make a music video.
I want to be there for that. It sounds like a lot of fun. So, Macy, your background is very interesting. I had to look up what a copyist is because I didn't know what. I'm like, okay, I'm not that have that education in theater, but you've done a lot, like a lot of different types of work. That's very, very fascinating to me. And it's just interesting, just the way you're able to, your skills and your talent, you're able to move and you know, it's not just a straight and narrow, it's taking everything in and making a new form.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I mean, first, I think I got into music because of pop music, but I very, very quickly kind of fell into this theater lane, and kind of along the lines of all the things we've been discussing here. Like, I think the theater lane sometimes has a tendency to be like, this is how you do things. And not all of my skill sets or interests necessarily always followed, like, this is the traditional way to be a theater music director. This is what you do, and this is the lane. And I always knew that I was drawn to like the intersection of pop and musical theater. And yeah, that's led to a lot of collaborations and things outside of the traditional theater lane that I've been really excited about. But yeah, I also feel like I'm seeing that happen more and more. I'm seeing more visibility for people who are not boxing themselves in this like trend of multi-hyphenates that's kind of emerging, and I am really encouraged by that. And I'm kind of like an out of the box person when it comes to that, and I've been happy with how it has transpired.
But that's really exciting. It's really exciting to hear. It's really exciting to experience this with you two. And tell us what it was like to work on the Tina musical.
Oh, I mean, I still love that project with all my heart. I was not part of that project since day one. So some projects you could be part of like the first table read or first workshop all the way through it, but it had already been done in London. when it transferred to New York, and I joined the team at that point. But so I was working with an all British team, but it was just an absolutely phenomenal experience. And when I started working on it, I knew like the big Tina Turner songs, but I don't think I was really like a deep Tina fanatic at that point. And her story, I mean, if you haven't read Tina Turner's memoir, now is definitely the time for that. Her story is, she's kind of like the ultimate woman who breaks the rules and triumphs story.
Right.
A woman who emerges from an impossible situation and creates her own definition of what being an artist is. And so it was kind of also meta inspiring to be working on a story about this woman where all of the content was kind of like fueling me in the process too. But I have just all of the love in my heart for that musical, and I'm grateful for that experience.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, I do not have any more questions, but I want to thank you so much for taking the time and sharing this with the UnHinged magazine viewership and any place else they're going to post it. I'm very excited about this project. I would love to see it live in person if there's in the future. And definitely, I'm going to be telling other people and other creatives and other people I know that love music about it, because it does need to be shared. So unless you have any other questions or something else you want to talk about.
Thank you so much for this was really, really cool. Especially in these times where we're like, what's going on? To like talk about something that we love and that we're working on is so grounding. So like I definitely appreciate it all.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is absolutely lovely, and it was lovely to chat about all of it.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.